and then putting dead Chinese people's consciousnesses in them, running them. And they don't want to be just anybody. They want to be good-looking white people. And they've done it in America all kinds. They said that that me telling people about this is going to get them nuked. They're going to get nuked, and somebody's going to nuke or something. And I'm like, well, kill the lizards, shut down them dead people, everything will go smooth. And it's pretty heavy, though. China is one of the worst places in the world. It's not the people there. Like, I'm not racist or anything. It's the government there. The government is still kind of being run by this guy named Mao Zedong. Chairman Mao.
Yeah.
He's still living on a flawed recorded consciousness on a chip in either a clone or somebody else's head. It's pretty crazy now. When they copied his consciousness onto chip, they only had Mark 1 clones, and it's way more side effects then. So when they recorded his consciousness onto that chip, it was with Mark 1 technology. Now after they made Mark 2s, they can't go back and take that recording and upgrade it to Mark 2, so he's stuck as Mark 1 clone, flawed recorded consciousness, which is even worse than Mark 2. Yeah, and Mark 2 is pretty bad in itself.
Have you heard of David Wilcox and Benjamin Fulford?
Yes.
Okay, anything you want to say on either of those?
I didn't know about Fulford, okay? But David Wilcox guy?
Yeah.
I contacted him on the internet, and I'm like, dude, I know all this stuff. I hear you talk about it. I don't know anything about it. I'll just tell you what I know, and I'll fill in the blanks for you to help me shut this stuff down. Well, no response. And then a few nights after that, he comes out to talk to me at the cloning center. He's there. He's been there since he was a little kid. He was a molestation. Oh yeah, he was a molestation victim. And then, just as a reward for him being such a good little boy, they let him have his show and talk this stuff. Like, if he was to probably talk the truth about lizards, he'd probably be killed, as an example to the others. But he is there. He told me specifically, don't message me. I'm not going to help you. And I can't wait to meet him in real life, really, because he was like threatening me there and stuff. Fulford is supposed to be down with the Japanese Yakuza side of the Illuminati.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he was there or not because I hadn't seen him. They brought him out like months ago, and he's like talking to me about this and that, and I'm like, dude, you're a traitor. You're a traitor of the human race. Get out of my face. And he's like, they just want to peacefully coexist. We can fix this all. And I'm like, dude, you better get out of here. I think I know these things better than you do. And I don't know. He's a worm. He's like one of these hinters, like the Jesse Ventura guy. He's there too. It's bad. Jesse Ventura was there when I was there as a little kid in his pink tights.
Do you want to say anything about David Icke?
Yeah, you guys are gonna want to string him up. He knows all about it. I think he knows even more than I do about the stupid things. He may be a host himself. He knows that there's no morphing. He knows there's no other dimension. He's just saying that to mislead people.
Why?
Because he likes the place. He's a friend to Elizabeth. He makes a living. He stays safe.
He's a friend to Elizabeth. Do you know that? Yeah.
Oh yeah, they talked there. Yeah, the strange thing was with him, they didn't bring him out to talk to me like they did with Fulford and stuff. They put a picture of his face up on the big screen to talk to me, and I could never tell if these people are being impersonated because they do impersonate people a lot, and I don't know. I'm not absolutely even positive that it is Ick, that is there, because I only saw his face on a video screen talking to me. I don't know why he was on a video screen. That still puzzles me, but Dave said he's down with them and everything, and well, let's say I'm 99% sure, because that whole interview with him and Jesse Ventura, where Jesse was getting all up in arms about him, it was all staged. They talked about how it was going to go at the cloning center, like how it's going to unfold and everything. The whole program.
Reptilian agenda, yeah.
Yeah.
Jesse Ventura asked David Icke to, show me a reptilian. Can you take me to one?
Yeah.
He made David Icke look a little bit stupid at the time,
Yeah.
So
well, that's the intention. That's the intention. They want to make Icke look like an idiot while talking about lizards and dimensions and shape-shifting scales coming out of your skin and stuff. And then have someone else, oh, you're an idiot. That's not true. And then he'll be like, well, yeah. And he did look kind of stupid. He looked like he's mentally handicapped or something. And then people will look to Jesse Ventura or Alex Jones, who also attends. And they'll say, oh, this guy is the real deal.
Alex Jones, that was my next question, Alex Jones.
Yeah. Yep. I don't think he wants to attend. Like, not too many people that are there want to attend. It seems to me the only people that want to attend are the ones that are making good money, or if they're fat and ugly and they can't get laid in real life. That's really how it is. Like, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense. Okay, another question for you, Donald. Sorry, we're going on a bit here, but this is so interesting. I've just got to carry on. The fact that we've had certain royals here in the UK going into hospital, apparently, recently, we've had Lizzie going in there, we've had Prince Philip with various problems, and many more. What's any views on all of that? That when we hear of so-called royals going into hospital, like Queen Elizabeth is going into this National Health Service hospital, and we see her coming out, and we see her coming out with a nurse with a satanic belt round her waist. What does all that mean? What's your view on all of that?
They're trying to put it out there. Yeah, I used to think
that
that
actually her for a start? Is that actually her, or is that a clone going in there and coming out?
It's unknown. She could be actually a dead, reanimated clone right now, or she could be a real. It's hard to tell, like, just by looking at them in the face. You'd have to be really familiar with them, because the skin is pretty much the same.
When you say you've met her in these places, in these wherever she's been, that you've met her, that is the real her, yeah?
At the cloning centers?
Yes.
No, that'd be the clone, wouldn't it?
No, that would be the clone of her. That's an
the
Aryan
clone of her.
clone.
So you're always seeing the clone of her, basically, yeah?
Yep.
Whenever we see her in public, in any public place, that's always the real her, do you think, or could that be a clone?
Oh, it's a clone sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes even musicians do concerts and use clones, like Beyonce.
Really?
Beyonce making her funny faces and stuff, and almost popping a vein out the side of her head in her concert there. She was cloned there. She's doing that on purpose. Beyonce wants out now. She's doing that on purpose to show you, hey, something's wrong. Look into this. I'm not going to tell you, because then I'll get killed, but...
So the thing that gets me, Donald, is whenever, I've always been a totally anti-royal person, just from nature, for my whole life, but whenever you see a so-called royal going into hospital from a so-called complication of health, my first reaction is, one, if they have a health problem, why would they be going into a hospital? Because they've probably got everything within, wherever they are, whatever facility they're living in, they've probably got everything there to help them anyway. Why would they be going into a hospital? Is the whole thing done to put us... Is it a propaganda thing, the whole thing of them going in hospital to make us think these people suffer like us and they go into hospitals like us? And is it them actually going in there, is what I'm asking?
Sometimes it's a clone. Sometimes it is them going into there because they need to get a reclone. They have to go into the next body.
Why would they go to a hospital though? Why wouldn't they do that in a cloning centre in private?
Well, maybe there's an underground shuttle that takes them somewhere to a base. Well, you don't know, do you?
That's true. Yeah, but why would they actually go to a hospital? My feeling is that this whole going to an NHS hospital thing is a total load of rubbish.
Could just be a cover.
There's a kind of clone that after you're dead they reanimate you in, and you have to get recloned every 6 months to a year. They do it at like this Camp David hospital somewhere. The nurses down there say that they deal with the uglies. They call them the uglies, the scary uglies or something. It's pretty commonplace. They go in because the brain will degrade over time. It's like they had Eminem on a video there, and he was talking like he had just had a stroke. His slurred speech and everything. It was because, well, they did that intentionally as a joke. He needed to be recloned or go into his next clone. They're trying to put it out there in the public now because they don't know what to do, and they know if they take the first step, they might be killed. So they're using me to take the first step. Only the stuff is so complex, the technologies and stuff, and they all intermix and mingle. It starts getting a little weird sounding, right? And so I gotta try to stick to the basics to tell people about this, because once people go, yeah, okay, that's true about the cloning, then everybody's going to know that the lizards are real, the hosts are real, and that everything else is real too.
Why did Queen Elizabeth, Lizzie, as I prefer to call her, go into hospital recently from so-called stomach problems? I mean, and she had to cancel their tour to Rome to see the Pope. All of this to me just kind of like makes me feel so uncomfortable.
Well, the pedophile investigation stuff, that kind of threw them for a loop. Like, they knew that they were hung up on it, but they didn't. I guess this Jimmy Savile guy had a lot of evidence against him, and it's linked to her. Like, when I first started writing my letter there, I told everybody, yeah, there's a bunch of pedophiles, super pedophiles, and people were like, oh, you should be shot for talking about the Queen like that. But they all came back later and they said, okay, so maybe you're right, yeah. And it was funny. I got all kinds of friends on the friends list. But Elizabeth going into hospital like that, and different people playing sick and stuff, they can go into hospital and not be bothered by investigators, right? Because they're too ill to be questioned. Like,
right.
It's just like when, you know, the Vatican had that sex party, and that 13-year-old went missing in there, and her father rounded up everybody, and they went out into Vatican Square there, and they're like, where's my daughter? She went in here and she didn't come out. Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter? They stayed out there for days. I don't know how long. They didn't do anything. They just sat out there and waited. The Pope didn't step out on his balcony to answer. The police didn't go in to get the Pope and ask him. Nobody did anything, and eventually the people got cold and wet and went home. So still nobody knows what happened to that girl, but they killed that girl down in the basement.
Okay, so what you're saying in a way is that almost the fact that the Queen went into hospital at that point, even if it was her, even if it wasn't her, how the hell do we know? The whole thing was done to create sympathy for them, so that the sheep will think, oh my God, the poor Queen's ill, and it takes distraction from what's actually happening out there. And I just wanted to ask you, because I know you're actually in Canada, do you actually know about Kevin Annett?
Yeah, I've spoken to him. I was trying to tell him about the residential school stuff, because there's a discrepancy in his evidence and stuff, and I was going to clear it up for him.
And what was that?
They said all these native kids, they remember Philip and Elizabeth and other people showing up on certain days.
Yeah.
These were very scary times to them, and they burned these dates into their brains so that they could remember the future. Now, the problem was, these dates don't line up with visits to Canada from the royal family. The thing is, they weren't really there. They were clones. They were clones in Canada. They were asleep in England and running around in REM clones here in Canada. What they would do, they would take the kids out for a picnic, a group of 5 kids. They would take one kid into the woods, and these kids were molested, all kinds. So they would bring them into the woods, and the kids would think, oh, I'm just going to get molested again, because they're used to it, and they would tie them up, and they would think that was just part of the whole thing, right? But when they tied them up, they would strangle them and watch them in the eyes until they died. They said it gave them some kind of a sexual pleasure or something, right? And then the kids wouldn't go back to their beds in the dorms and in the residencies and stuff,